Good day, everyone. I am Mr. Khriz N. Fernandez from the College of Management and Business Technology and currently the internal lead auditor. So, this day is for you guys. Being part of the university, we, um, we want you to be part of our endeavor to be internationally relevant. So we planned to give you this awareness seminar on ISO 9001 2015 so that you understand what is happening within the organization. I don't know if some of you already experienced the internal audit process, but then again, we want you to be part of our vision to be internationally and our mission to be internationally relevant and recognized universities of science and technology. So, for today's webinar, I'll be discussing about operation as well as the performance evaluation. So, let's start.
8.1 Operational Planning and Control. The NEUST plans and develops the process needed for the product and services realization. Planning of product and service realization is consistent with the requirements of other processes of the management system, such as planning considers the information related to the context of the organization, current resources, capabilities, as well as the products and services requirement. Changes in the operational process are done in accordance with the approved manual of operation and the following of the procedure on registration, revision, retrieval, and abolition of internal documents. Now, in 8.2, which is the requirement for products and services, we have a subclause of 8.2.1, which is the client communication. The NEUST has implemented effective communication with the clients in relation to providing information relating to services, handling inquiries, contacts, or others, including changes, obtaining clients' feedback relating to services, including clients' complaints, handling or controlling clients' property, establishing specific requirements for the contingency actions when relevant. Another subclause is 8.2.2, which is determining the products or the requirements for products and services. When determining the requirements for products and services to be offered to the clients, the university shall ensure that requirements for the products and services are defined, including any applicable statutory and regulatory requirements and those considered necessary by the university. The university can meet the claim for the products and services it offers. In 8.2.3, which is the review of requirement for products and services, the university shall ensure that it has the ability to meet the requirements for products and services. The university shall conduct a review before committing to supply the products and services to the clients include the requirement specified by the clients, including the requirement for delivery and post-delivery activities, requirements not stated by the client but necessary for specified or intended use when known, requirements specified by the organization, statutory and regulatory requirements applicable to the products and services, contract or other requirements differing from those previously expressed. So, the university shall ensure that the contract of other requirements differing from the previously defined are resolved. The client's requirements shall be confirmed. by the university before acceptance. When the client does not provide documented statement of their requirements, the university shall retain the documented information as applicable on the result of the review and on any new requirements for the products and services. In 8.2.4, which is the changes on the requirements for the products and services, the university shall ensure that the relevant documented information is amended and that relevant person are made aware on the changes or change requirements when requirements for its products and services are changed. In 8.3, designing and development planning of products and services. In 8.3.1, the university shall establish, implement, and maintain a design and development process for the appropriate or that is appropriate to ensure subsequent provisions on its services. In 8.3.2, which is the design and development planning, in determining the stages and control for design and development of the university shall consider 1. The nature, duration, complexity of the design and development activities. The required process stages including the applicable design and development reviews, the required design and development verification and validation activities, the responsibilities and authorities involved in the design and development process, as well as the internal and external resources needed for the design and development of products and services. The need to control interfaces between persons, including in design and development process. The need for involvement of clients and users in the design and development process. The requirements for subsequent provision of products and services. The level of control expected for the design and development process by the clients and other relevant interested parties. The documented information needed to demonstrate that design and development requirements have been set. In 8.3.3, which is the design and development inputs, the university shall determine the requirements essential for the specific type of products and services to be designed and developed. The organization shall consider first the statutory and regulatory requirements of the Commission on Higher Education, the Department of Budget Management, and other oversight agency, and functional and performance requirement. Another is the information derived from the previous similar design and development activities, standard of codes of practice that organization has committed to implement, potential consequences to failure due to the nature of the products and services. In 8.3.4, Designing and Development Controls, the university shall apply controls to the design and development process to ensure that 1. The results to be achieved are defined, and review or reviews are conducted to evaluate the ability of the results of design and development to meet the requirements. Verification of activities are conducted to ensure that the design and development outputs met in input requirements. Another, validation activities are conducted to ensure that the resulting products and services met the requirements for a specified application or intended use. Any necessary action are taken on the problems determined during the review or reviews or verification and validation activities. Documented information
of these activities is retained.
8.3.5 Design and Development Outputs. The university shall ensure that the design and development outputs meet the input requirements, are adequate for subsequent process for provision of products and services, include or reference monitoring and measuring requirements as appropriate, and acceptance criteria is specific to the characteristics of the products and services that are essential for their intended purpose and their safe and proper provision. In 8.3.6, which is design and development changes, the university shall retain the documented information on design and development changes, the result of reviews, authorization of changes, action taken to prevent adverse impacts. Now, in 8.4, provision on externally provided products and services, the NEUST ensure that the purchased supplies, materials, and equipments conforms the specified legal requirements, the type of and extent of control applied to the supplier and the purchased supplier, materials, and equipments is depend on the subsequent service or final service. So the NEUST evaluates and selects suppliers based on the ability to supply supplies, materials, and equipments in accordance with university requirements. Criteria for selection, evaluation, and re-evaluation are also established. Purchases are made following the Republic Act 9184 of the legal policies, procedures as applied to the government institution. In 8.5, which is the product and services provision. 8.5.1 Control of provisions of services. To control its provisions of products and services, the NEUST shall consider as applicable or the following. 1 is the availability of the documents or records that define the characteristics of service as well as the result to be achieved. The availability and the use of suitable monitoring and measuring resources. The implementation of monitoring and measurement activities. The use of suitable infrastructure and environment. The appointment of competent person, including any required qualification. And the implementation of an action to prevent human error. And lastly, the implementation of release, delivery, and post-delivery activities. In or 8.5.2, identification and traceability. Where appropriate, the NEUST identifies its services or other criteria or critical process outputs by suitable means. Such identification includes the status of the service with respect to monitoring and measurement requirements, unless otherwise indicated as non-conforming pending inspection or disposition or some other similar identifier. All services or service shall be considered conforming and suitable to use. If unique traceability is required to contract, regulatory, and other established requirement, NEUST controls the records, the unique identification of the service. For 8.5.3, property belonging to third parties. The NEUST exercises care with the students and other suppliers' property, such as but not limited to student records, transcript of records, diplomas, and vehicles, while it's under the organization's control of being used by the organization. Upon the receipt of such property is identified, verified, protected, and safeguarded. If any such property is lost, damaged, or otherwise found in unsuitable for use, this is reported to the student or suppliers. In 8.5.4, prevention, the NEUST preserves conformity of the products and other process outputs during the internal processing and delivery. This preservation includes the identification, handling, packaging, storage, and protection of records generated from the service delivered. In 8.5.5, which is the post-delivery activities, the university shall meet the requirements of post-delivery activity associated with the products and services. The university shall consider legal requirements of oversight agencies, the potential undersigned consequence associated with its products and services, the nature of use, intended life of its products and services, client requirements, and client feedback. (8.5.6) Process change and control. NEUST reviews and controls both planned and unplanned changes to process and to the extent necessary to ensure continuing conformity with all the requirements. The university shall retain documented information prescribing the result of the review of changes, the persons authorizing the change, and the necessary action arising from the review. In 8.6, which is the measurement and release of services, acceptance criteria for the services are defined in appropriate subordinate documentation. Reviews, inspections, and tests are conducted in appropriate stages to verify that the products and services requirements have to be met. This is done before the products and services are released and delivered. And lastly, for clause number 8, which is the 8.7 control of non-conforming outputs. Possible non-conforming outputs are error on the computation of encoding of grades, error in the information on transcript of records and certificates and diplomas, and failure to meet the requirements of the products produced by the university.
Again, this is Sir Chris Fernandez, and thank you for listening. Keep safe and stay healthy.